Thank you very much, Minister, for joining us on Bloomberg Television.
Thank you for having me.
First quarterly budget surplus since 2014. Run me through what the key driving factors were for that.
Well, this is a result of what we said we are going to do. So we implemented significant reform. We implemented significant discipline on budget, efficiency, non-oil revenue, and obviously oil revenue. And the combination of all of this resulted in the revenues that we have announced.
Some of our economists have had a chance to look through some of the first quarter oil revenues, and those rose in a way that isn't necessarily explained by prices or production. Is there another source of revenue that's coming through, maybe a dividend from Saudi Aramco?
We have always said that the revenues that we receive from Saudi Aramco are divided in three. We have the royalty, we have the tax, and we have the dividends. And we have regular dividends and special dividends every year if the oil price and their CapEx plans allow it. And we received royalty, tax, dividends, and special dividends in the first quarter like we did last year.
Let me follow up on the results. So does that mean that you're on track to beat the full year deficit targets that you have?
We are on track to deliver on our midterm plans of the fiscal balance program, and we will balance our budget by 23.
Let's talk about some of the debt plans that you have. When is the next international issuance going to come, do you suspect?
Again, we don't specify, but when the market is ready, we have most likely one more international tranche from sovereign. We are thinking about dollars, we are thinking about euro. So as I said before, it is being planned. I can't talk about a specific time. That will depend a lot on the market.
Is it likely to be in the third quarter or fourth quarter, even the range? I mean, would you say earlier the better, given the market conditions?
Well, we are watching the market. Most likely it will be in the third quarter, but it may be earlier.
Do you have any sense of what could influence when the Saudi Aramco IPO could take place?
Saudi Aramco is taking place. We have always said it is taking place. We made sure that the investor community around the world sees what Saudi Aramco through the bond issuance. It's a terrific company. The performance is very well disclosed. It is the largest company in the world. This is the most profitable company in the world, and we will IPO it when it is ready. Obviously, it is going through a very significant transaction at the moment of 70 billion acquisition. That will require clearing all the antitrust requirements. That takes time. As and when it is ready, after that, we will go for IPO.
What about valuation? Is 2 trillion still achievable?
That's the market decision.
Okay, so you're not going to give some color on that front. What about the relationship between Aramco and the state? Is there a clear policy on taxes and dividends? I mean, you already answered this a little bit earlier, but maybe you can give us a little bit more context on that.
It is actually very clear.
Yeah.
I mean, Aramco is very well governed. There is really best international practice being applied in Aramco governance. We have a board that has significant number of independent board members, are international, very well known in the industry, who are adding value. We have a very clear codified relationship between the company and the government. We have royalty law, we have the tax law, we have the normal dividend policy that has been disclosed in the prospectus a couple of weeks back. So the relationship is actually very well maintained, and it has been for the last 70 years. The government deals with the company as a company. Mm-hmm. The concession agreement provides specifically what the government can and can't do in relation to the company concession. And that's it. It's law, it's codified, and it's published.
Some closing thoughts on what's happening globally. Lots of concerns around protectionism, around monetary policy normalization. I mean, the risks to the downside are significant. There's a deceleration in economic growth. What would you say is the biggest risk as you look to the world? Saudi Arabia is trying to get its momentum back up. I mean, as you look outside of borders, what could be a risk for you?
I think we just came from Washington for the G20 finance ministers and IMF and the World Bank. And we have discussed at this forum what the world is facing, what are the challenges. We have heard all of this. I think what is encouraging is that the IMF is seeing while it is dropping this year's potential growth to 3.3, it is actually seeing a rebound of 3.6 next year. That is a result of the calm on the trade tension and the likely of a resolution being found. Recognition by all policymakers that do no harm when you are doing your policy. So that is actually a very good principle, and there is a buy-in from the international community. So we are likely to see a stability and a little bit of growth 2020. But still, I mean, we need to watch for risks, and we are going to host the G20 next year, and we are looking at that very closely, making sure that we are going to be responsive for any challenges that may face the world.